I don't like hearing it, seeing it. It really makes me really, really, really sad.
It's okay. We don't have to agree, Allie.
This is why you leave your kids at home sometimes.
Hey y'all, it's LJ here, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. We are so glad you're here for another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Now, here's your host, Allie.
Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. We are hoping that all of our listeners, new and returning, are loving this show and looking forward to hearing all of our Disney content every single week, getting you one step closer to planning your dream vacation. We are here today with LJ and Karla.
Hello.
Hello.
And I'm so excited about today's topic. This is something that the three of us know a great deal about. We are experts in we're experts in every area, but we really know what we're doing when it comes to adult-only Disney trips. That is the topic of today. We are going to be talking about what is an adult trip. Is that something that should make you cringe, or is it so much fun that everybody should be doing it? Obviously, we believe the latter. And we're going to just break down exactly why that is. Adult trips at Disney World are misunderstood, and they are so much fun. How many adult trips to Disney, adult only, so we all have kids at regular Disney, how many adult trips a year are you each taking?
Oh my goodness. I do one every single month. So that's like just me and like between 8 and 10 of my top travel agents. And those are honestly some of my favorite trips because you're actually on vacation. You're not like just parenting in another location. So at least once per month, but like I probably add in another couple. So 15 maybe.
Wish I got to go on adults trip that frequently. I would say for me, it's probably 2 to 4 times a year. How about you, Allie?
Yeah, mine is sitting somewhere about 4 to 5 a year, I would say. And obviously, I take my kids a great deal as well. But there is something so fun, whether I'm going with other agent friends. LJ, I've been with you my fair share of times. Karla, obviously, you and I have been together a few times. And my wife and I go, just the two of us. Every sort of mix that you take means something different for that vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney World is like the best place to go to like date your spouse while on vacation. Honestly, it's so fun. And there's so much good food and there's so much good entertainment, so many just things to explore when you don't have a stroller, and you don't have to reapply sunscreen on 5-year-olds 7 times a day. That is something that I think is great about it. But it truly is, LJ, you touched on it, the most relaxing you can imagine. When you think Disney, you don't exactly think relaxing, right? But adult Disney not only can be, but really is, because even if you are an adult that's a park warrior that loves to rope drop and shut down the park, it's still almost relaxing because you're only really managing yourself and your own alarm, and you're not having to get anybody else dressed and out the door. And so even just managing yourself, even if you are still doing the long days, is relaxing.
One place I always notice how relaxing it is when I'm packing. There is something about the pressure of being a mom and packing, like the pressure of like, now it's eased a lot when I tell myself, like, if we don't have something that the kids need, we will buy it. And so that has definitely like eased the pressure of like feeling like I need to bring everything and have everything right there at the ready. Like just being able to be like, it's no big deal. But when you're packing for 5 kids, it's very different than just packing for myself. It's like, oh my gosh, that was a breeze.
Yeah, I'm like rolling up my t-shirts and shorts into a duffel bag when I'm going alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny.
So easy.
We just went to Disney a couple of weeks ago, and my kids are 11 and 12, and I thought for sure they are old enough to pack their own bags. And my daughter she's so organized. And the minute she gets there, it doesn't matter if we're staying one night. She wants to unload it into the drawers and all that stuff. My son, he didn't even bring underwear. Like, you talk about having to go and buy stuff. He is 12 We had to go to Disney Springs just to buy him some underwear.
Oh my gosh.
I am just one that like, I'm like you, Allie, and it's like the older I get and the less I care. It's like a couple of things, like a couple of bathing suits, whatever. I'm not bringing my fans. I'm not bringing,
No.
The cooling towels
Nope.
and, all this stuff that comes with kids. I'm not doing it. Like, I'll be lucky if I bring, some mascara and sunscreen. I don't know. Half the time I forget a poncho and I should know better.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even care, right? Because when you're with your kids and you forget the poncho and they're sopping wet, they're going to cry.
It's a problem.
Yeah. When it's 100 degrees and they're sweaty and, you got to make sure they're drinking water. You got to make sure they have their sunscreen. They're probably going to cry. When they get hungry and it's been a while since they've eaten, they're going to get cranky and they're probably going to cry. And these are all normal things. But when I'm hot or I need water or I'm hungry, I do get pretty hangry. That is true. My wife would be like, hold on, don't say you're not going to be grumpy when you're hungry. Because I do. But I'm like, probably like more than likely not going to cry. I mean, maybe I would. But I, can deal with my own tears. I can deal with myself. And you see a whole new side of Disney World. And we've all done adult trips for a lot of different reasons. And I love that as a vacation destination, obviously Disney for your family is prime. But there are other vacations that are perfect for Disney World that some people are just unaware of, or they think, oh, what could I possibly do there? I'm talking bridal showers, right? Weekends away with your bridesmaids, spa retreats truly can be done there. Girlfriend getaways. Mom is just overwhelmed. Go with a group of friends. Go because you earned it. Go with your spouse. So many different reasons that could pull you down to Disney World or over to Disney World with just your adults.
And guess what? It's okay.
Yeah.
We're giving you permission right now to go to Disney World without your kids. It's totally fine. I think it's good for my kids. Like, I don't want my kids growing up feeling they can't do anything that they want unless they bring their kids along. I'm like, nope, this is mommy's time. I'll take you later. We have it's all about turns, and they know it's just not their turn. Stick for life. Like, as an adult, you're totally expected. Like, it's not time for this. It's time for this. Like, I want them to realize that. I want them to grow up and be like, when Ezra's the mom, I want her to be able to step away with her girlfriends. I don't want her to feel like she has to be a mom 24/7.
Exactly. And the mom guilt that truly does come. I've been on my own, as we've said, and I've also helped as a travel agent plan so many adult getaways. And the mom guilt is so real. And I'm able to speak to it to other moms that I'm helping and just say, this is okay. Not only is it okay, but I want to celebrate it. I want to celebrate you doing something for you. And I understand that it could make your kids sad, and it could, Disney is a place that kids love, obviously. But when I go with my adult friends, I'm doing different things. My trip looks nothing like the trips I do when I'm with my kids.
I do tell them that too. Like, because they're like, can we come? I'm like, sweetie, here's what it's going to be like. And they're like, okay, maybe not.
I think it's important that we point out that I think it's pretty obvious that we all three of us, we go multiple times a year. So our kids are still going multiple times a year, right? So this isn't necessarily your first trip to Disney. Maybe probably if you have kids, should it be an adults only trip? This is a luxury. And you can even, I would assume, like, if you are on your family trip to Disney, why not break it down and have an adults only night? Utilize some of the babysitting, the nanny services that are provided around Disney World, and have, like, if you can't do the adults only like splurge trip, work in that one night with your spouse where you maybe go to a nice dinner or you go experience one of the parks during your trip without your kids.
Yeah, because as soon as you get a taste of what adult Disney looks like, you're going to be like, I'm going to take that new bounce back offer that Disney just brought back. And when I'm leaving this reservation that I'm on with my family, I'm booking you and I, whomever your spouse is, we're heading back. And the taste of adult time that we just had, we are extending it and we're doing a whole trip because everybody should do it. Everybody should do it.
I totally agree. I remember the first time it honestly, it wasn't really alone time because Asher was like a newborn, but this still stands out as like the time that like I was truly like driving the ship and I was but I felt like I was by myself. Though I did have Asher, a little like 2-week old baby, strapped to my chest. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that is not Disney alone time at all. I still felt like it was because my 2 and 4 year olds were back with Mike. I went to Epcot and he watched the kids for nap time or whatever it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I think Epcot was great for me because all the countries and like digging into the culture that really is there. I had wanted to do that so many times and had always felt like I needed to keep it light, not spend so much time in each country because were my kids getting bored, was this the best use of our time, etc. And getting over there and like that's when I fell really in love with Epcot. So, and obviously with adult only trips because I've taken so many since.
LJ, I'm curious, do you and Mike, since you live so close, do you ever just go to like one of the parks for dinner and just kind of have like a date night?
We do. We have our kids' tutor. Her name's Hannah. When she comes over, I look at her schedule and I'm like, could you stay later here? Or is it just okay if we leave while you're teaching? Because she's 27. She can handle these kids. I pay her like a little extra because she's, going to have to take care of all of them instead of just doing, working with them. And then I'll try to coincide a reservation somewhere so that we can have a nice meal. Mike loves Animal Kingdom, so I'll always try it. Like, can we go to Animal Kingdom? I miss Animal Kingdom a lot because a lot of my trips with my agents are usually 3 parks, and for some reason Animal Kingdom's usually the one that we don't go to in those only 3-day trips. So I'm like, I miss Animal Kingdom. I haven't been there in months, so it has worked really well.
Yeah, that's so funny. When I come on those trips, the agency trips that you're talking about, we always hit Animal Kingdom that first day. We go there first before we all reconnect later, and it's just the one. It does get the least amount of love, but I kind of like check the box early, I think. We're going to break this down here in a little bit. Animal Kingdom, as all of the parks truly are, a whole different park as an adult. We're going to break down why, talk about nightlife. What does it feel like to stay in a resort as an adult? What things can you do differently? What about the parks are going to be just a complete 180 experience for you as an adult after this quick break?
Hey, Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast listeners. Have you joined our online communities yet? You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Smart Moms Plan Disney Podcast, where we're connecting daily with listeners, answering questions, and sharing our favorite Disney memories. Joining one of our communities, especially on Facebook, is like pulling up your own chair and joining the conversation yourself. Why let Tuesday be the only day you hear from us? Come join us to continue episode conversations, or maybe even tell us if you disagree with something we've said. We're planning trips, offering tips, and ready for you to pull up your chair. So follow the links in our show notes and join us at Smart Moms Plan Disney Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram.
All right, welcome back. We are diving right on into the sevens, where we take the personalities of those 7 dwarves, apply them to the topic of the day to really break it down, dig in, and get the best information that we can. Today's topic, of course, is adult trips, adults only, no kids allowed. What are we going to do? What makes us happy about these trips that we all go on multiple times a year? We started touching on this right before the break. Different versions of the parks that we know so well. I'm going to start right with Epcot because you touched on this a bit in the intro, LJ, where you said that was the first time I really got to dig in. And when I have my work sort of like, is this the best use of our time? Typically not. In order for me to really enjoy, say, the China Pavilion, I have to give my kids, what are those puppets, like the marionettes, those stuffies on the wooden stakes and strings. Like, I've got to give them those. And then I have to tell them why we're not going to spend, $20 each on them, but they hold them just to keep them entertained so I can look at the shops, but then they've twisted them all up and then I'm untangling them. And then like, it wasn't worth being in the pavilion for that long anyway. And it can just become really stressful. Or like if we're doing food and wine festival and we want to go slowly through the food booths, which, let's be real, who doesn't want to do that? you know, it becomes long lines in every pavilion and then my kids are melting down. World Showcase deserves so much attention. You know, not a lot, and I'm not going to generalize, but not a lot of kids are going to appreciate all of the different offerings in that festival or any of the festivals, to be real. You know, there may be a thing here or there that they love, but to really stop in each country and try the cuisine and experience the shops and everything that it has to offer, it's really hard. And we end up missing most of it when we have our kids there.
And I do want to say to nobody listening, I don't want you to think that Epcot is not for kids, because we don't believe that. We totally believe that Epcot is for kids, but we can also say that Epcot without your kids is going to be way more enjoyable for you.
Yeah, listen back to our Epcot episode and you can hear all of the reasons why Epcot is absolutely for your kids. It's my kids' favorite park. Take it, look at it, and then flip it on its back and look at what it looks like when you don't have your kids. So not to say that it's not fun both ways, but it is different when you have just your adults with you.
Not only that, but I think like the pace at which you're going is just so much slower and obviously more relaxing, but it allows you those moments to like look around you and enjoy the details that Disney puts into their parks. I always love going through the castle and like actually stop and looking at the mosaics and looking at the top of the pillars where they have, you know, the cat and the mice and, you know, all those details that you wouldn't see if you are, you know, toting your stroller and 75 bags and, you know, your husband is complaining because so-and-so won't stop crying or whatever. It's just one of those things where it's like to actually like be able to like slow down and look around you and like appreciate the things that you don't really get to appreciate when you have kids in tow.
Yeah, when you get to Magic Kingdom with your kids, you're like running straight through and rope dropping Mine Train, right? Mm-hmm. And Animal Kingdom, to go back to that park, which you were saying you and Mike like to go to, LJ. And do you have a park, Karla, that you and Matt like to go to?
We love Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, and Zan and I love Epcot. So that's funny that we all have like a different date park we like to go to. With Animal Kingdom, and we talked about this on the Animal Kingdom episode, and there's a lot more for me to fall in love with that park. But that is the one and only park where I can truly say I enjoy it way more with just my adult friends. My kids do like it. But I love the adult atmosphere and offerings in Animal Kingdom. The different bars, nook, crannies that you can just sort of go and sit in and relax at. The Nomad Lounge, which we have talked about on this show, where you can just go sit out on the water and have drinks and snacks, things like that are so much fun, and you're doing it in such a beautiful and serene atmosphere that as an adult, I love hitting that park up for those reasons. And those are not necessarily things I would do or take the time out of a trip with my family to do for an extended period of time. Do you like Animal Kingdom with your kids? Adults more? Are there parks that you like with adults better than with your kids?
I personally, when my kids were young, I had a very hard time. In my opinion, I think that Animal Kingdom is probably the least friendly kid park.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're doing any, like, if you're there to look at the animals, great. You could do that at, you know, this place called the zoo. Great. Awesome. Ride wise for little kids, I mean, it's very limited. So I agree. To enjoy it as an adult is just a lot, like, again, a lot slower, but you're getting to enjoy the food offerings there, which I have mentioned before, some of my favorite in any of the parks, the drinks, just the atmosphere alone. And then like when you're done, you leave and then you go to Epcot.
And it could be 8:00 at night. And you can be like, let's hop over here. You know, there's so much more freedom and flexibility when you're not worried about who's tired and who's overdone for the day. And that is something that just makes me so happy. You're experiencing the parks. Not that, I mean, obviously experiencing the parks with your kids is so much fun and so magical. We talk about it every episode. But think about the ways that you can shift the perspective a little bit and what are you going to experience differently? And those are the things that make me so happy. The slowness, the observation, having a drink for a longer time. And, you know, not that you have to, because LJ, you don't even really drink that much. And you know, Karla and I do. It's not like it's something you have to do in order to have fun on an adult trip. If you do.
I feel like LJ's rope dropping Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, heck yes, I am.
Karla and I are sleeping in and getting on the wait list for Nomad Lounge immediately.
To be honest, I'm not rope dropping anything, whether my kids are there or not. We definitely go at a slower pace at this point. But to me, like the biggest thing that makes me happy about going, like the lack of the pressure of keeping everybody happy. Like I have a big family. My oldest is 14, my youngest is 4, so there's a 10-year age gap. And it's like what this one's going to want to do versus what that is going to want to do. And these two are fighting. And like you guys have all been there as moms, like everybody listening can relate. Mom is like a job. Like you're on duty as mom. Yes, being on duty at Disney World as mom is so much more fun, but you're still on. Like you're still, breaking up fights. You're still taking this one to the bathroom and making sure
That's such a good one. That's such a good one. Eating without bathroom breaks.
My little kids are still at the age where like, what do you want to eat? So like the whole process of like ordering food, and we were just at the Yachtsman like 2 days ago, and it's like we sit down, I need to get one of the kids menus from one of the kids, but they want to all color. So I need to like finagle either Seth or Ezra to let me look at the kids menu. And this is like a whole process. And it's just, I don't even get to look at the adult menu until after I figured out what all these kids want. And to just not have that, just to be able to like be on it, like have a break, just be like, what do I want? That's my favorite thing.
It's incredible to sit down and order a glass of wine and then look over the menu and be just having grown-up conversation and doing it somewhere that just feels so magical, where you feel cared for. It's amazing. Every mom deserves that. Other things that make me super happy: monorail bar crawls. I have taken my kids and done this, and where I would get a drink, my wife would get a drink, we get them a dessert. And so it's super fun and everybody has a good time. It's a great way to spend your time. But with adults, Karla and I did this where we went to the Steakhouse 71 lounge. We had such a great time just relaxing. They had something on the TV that we were enjoying. And then we went over to Trader Sam's. We were with a group of friends, and that was so much fun. We ended the night in the Villain's Lair, which I've discussed on this show, watching Happily Ever After from a roof. That was so relaxing, and it was so much fun. It's wonderful to be able to enjoy the different lounges and bars and cocktails that are being offered just as an adult with adults. And all of my transportation's covered, and it's just a fun night out, is really what it is. And it was great.
I love eating and drinking around the world at Epcot. Every, maybe once, twice, if my liver can take it, I'll get a group of girlfriends or couples together and we go and drink our faces off around the world. And, we are not all drinking one drink in every country. We split it. We drink water. We eat chicken tendies. We try to do it smartly because it is very difficult to do. But my friend just turned 40 last year, and there was 5 or 6 of us, and all she wanted to do was drink around the world. And we didn't tell her we were going. We just told her pack a bag. We told her to bring her passport, so she thought we were going somewhere exotic. Anyways, so we every time we went to a country, and these are little things that you can incorporate in your adult trip that maybe necessarily you can't do in your kids or family trips, but every country we visited, we put on a different accessory. So when we went to China, we had a fan. And then when we went to Mexico, we had these fun fiesta glasses. And we kept compounding all of these elements into our look as we went to the countries. And the point of the game, if you wanted to call it that, not only did we have to survive all the countries, but you had to keep all your elements on. And we got to the end, we were in France, and we went to the little patisserie area in the back, and we got some desserts. And I remember getting something with chocolate on it, and I got chocolate all over my German apron, and it just ruined my whole thing. And I just yanked everything off, and it was probably part alcohol, but also I just lost. And I don't know, it's these types of things that just to me are just so fun and something you would never get to experience if you had your children.
Yeah, and it is just innocent fun and getaway and safe, and there are so many different ways to do it. that sounds like a blast, and it sounds like more of a blast without my kids. And LJ doesn't sound like something you've done, but you've done Epcot with adults in ways that make it more fun or different type of fun than when you do have your kids in tow. Experiencing these parks, doing the things that you might feel honestly guilty. We've already talked a little bit about that mom guilt. It's like, if you were to do that when your kids were there, you might feel a little bit of that because you're not rushing to Ratatouille and you're not rushing to Frozen and you're not making it a priority to do the things that they want to do to make Epcot their favorite park. And you can do it without that layer of guilt. It's amazing. It's so great.
You just hit on something that I think is very interesting. We do not ride a lot of rides when we're adults only. Like
No.
I mean, it depends, because if I have a group of agents that's like not been to Disney often, I mean, they've all been to Disney often, but like not as often as I have, I will find that they want to do more attractions and rides and stuff like that. And I'm like, I like to see it through their eyes again. And like, so that's really fun. But I also just find that like the longer people have been an agent with me, the less they're like, I need to run to rope drop Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Like we talk about like one ride per day. Like that's what we
do. That's we average.
Just left to our own devices, like not trying to force it one way or another. We will be like, okay, let's start one ride, or we'll just look back
but
at
what
the day.
is your one ride? Like if you are adults only and you're in any park, what would be your one ride?
It's honestly, it's so different because it's not about like what's the best ride or anything like that. It's always more about like the atmosphere and what we're doing and like, oh, this one is available or not a long line or let's go there. It's not like there's one that we're picking as like the best thing. It's just like, I just feel like in general, the whole trip is less about like the attractions and far more about like spending time with people that I really enjoy in a place that I really enjoy, the atmosphere, the food. For me, it's coffee, beverages. But like it becomes so much less about the attractions.
Yeah, that's so true. I have two things I need to add to that. Number one, answer to your question, Karla, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously.
I was going to say, I agree.
We, on my most recent trip, LJ, you were there. I had a couple agent friends there were a lot of us actually on that trip. It was bigger than a normal one. So we had a couple of times we were all together and then a couple of times we were just in small groups. There were 3 other girls that I was with a lot of the time. And we just kind of made it a thing to think, well, as long as we ride Guardians every day, we're good. And so we just kind of made sure we made it in to ride Guardians, and then everything else was just spontaneous. And the other thing I was going to add is you said spending time in a place I love with people I love. That is so true. And it's obviously something you could do at home, right? But for a lot of people, it's a great meeting place. I know for all of us, we're certainly not the only ones. We have friends that live all over the place. Our friends aren't all local to us. So here's a place we can all meet and have safe fun, right? Like doing what Karla said, you do that at home. Well, then somebody has to drive. So somebody has to sober up or not drink at all, right? When you're at Disney and you're doing that, you can all just have mutual fun and you're safe in this bubble and everything is covered for you. And you can really just surrender to safe fun with people you love. And I really, really, really love that, regardless of how you're spending the time. The other thing I want to say that makes me happy, and obviously we always spend a lot of time in happy in every episode because these are topics that make us happy. But this one transitions nicely to Doc. When you're going on an adult trip, you're likely going with other adults that aren't spending the same money as you, right? They're coming with their own money. So you can likely stay deluxe a little easier than if it was just you paying for your family, because you might be going with 3 other people. And if you have now 4 incomes, maybe you can split that 4 ways and stay deluxe. Are there money saving strategies that make the more expensive things at Disney World with other adult friends more attainable? I think a very obvious yes.
That's a really good point. I feel like it's always a great time for us to do like VIP tours and things like that, where I have yet to do a VIP tour with my family. Like I do not necessarily want to spend the $3, $4, $5, $6, $7,000 that these tours can be. And yet because if you can take a group of adults and then the tour is, a couple $1,000, $3,000 divided by 10, like that's totally reasonable for me to spend a few $100s having a great day And at that point we are going to do tons of attractions.
I just this morning, as we're recording this podcast, booked a VIP tour for a family that's going to be traveling to Disney World. And it was a $7,000 tour for one family that's going to pay that. Maximum that can go on a tour is 10. If you have a large group of adults that are going or multiple families, you took that, you cut it to $700 for your portion. These are the things that just make sense. And obviously $700 is still a splurge, but it's not a $7,000 splurge. So there may be situations and scenarios, things like that make more sense to do on those adult trips that you wouldn't otherwise. Maybe you're not going to get to stay at a deluxe resort if you're not splitting it 4 ways. And that's great. Fine. Listen to our other episodes, value, moderate. We've covered it all here. Think about the things you're going to be able to do differently. That's the theme of this episode. Everything is great with kids. Everything is great without. What is different? What are you experiencing in a new way? And that is a big one. And that's a doc strategy that I think has to be considered.
Not only that, but, splurging in different ways. So maybe you're not splurging necessarily on deluxe, even though, of course, we recommend it. Maybe you're not splurging on the big VIP. Maybe you splurge on a nice dinner. Maybe you splurge on sleeping in and not rope dropping. And you splurge to know that you don't have to go to the park that day until 5:00 if you want, and you splurge to have a pool day or a resort day. I mean, you can make your own splurge based on what you feel comfortable with, but regardless, your money just as an individual, as opposed to your family and your time, you get to splurge on that more than if you had everybody there.
Yep. All the different ways that you can do that. I agree. Those are great points. The other doc strategy is to visit Epcot and then visit Epcot again for all the reasons we've already said. And I think park hopping on an adult trip so that you truly do have the freedom that you're trying to give yourself. Don't lock yourself into a plan when you're just there with some girlfriends or a spouse. Allow yourself the freedom to say, we're done here. Let's move on and go wherever you'd like. And
I think, Allie, we speak from experience on that because in our last team trip, you guys would not believe. I mean, we're obviously planners. You wouldn't believe the elaborate plan that we came up with, thinking that we were going to accomplish 90% of this stuff. I mean, we were going to do this ride and this and this and this. And when it came to the day of, some of us wanted to go to all 4 parks. Some of us were been there, done that. No thanks. I guess what I'm getting at is kind of my dopey is don't overplan. Slow it down. Just go with what you want to do. And that is your day, and your trip is only dependent on you.
That's so good.
I agree with you, Karla, that I feel like I'm much more likely to abandon the plan and just go with the flow when it's just me. I feel much more comfortable, not worrying about what did we do? Did we, get this person's favorite ride or that person's favorite ride? And all of that stuff, all bets are off. If you have not taken a pool day at a Disney resort without your kids, you are definitely missing out. I'm on the heels of just coming back from Yacht and Beach Club 2 nights ago, and we spent a lot of time at the pool. That's why we went over there. We had a cabana one day. I don't know. There's something about knowing that your kids are in a life-threatening situation. It's a beach club pool. It's not super deep, but it's still I got to make sure all these kids are breathing. And I have also gone there without any kids with me and just laid in the sun, and y'all, it's different. I'm telling you, it's just different.
It is. That's the dopey move. Karla mentioned it. The dopey move is not taking advantage of all of this new time, all of these new directions that you can take yourself. I know, Karla said, we had overplanned our trip because I think we were all just so excited to get together. And by the 3rd day, some of us were yeah, we're staying at the treehouse. Y'all go. We'll meet up later. We were switching park reservations around and just taking advantage of, we can do what we want, anything we want without guilt.
No, and part of that is piggybacking on your doc strategy of park hopping. We get to go, my family gets to go all the time, and park hopping just really isn't a thing for us. My kids get tired after 6 or 7 hours. So at that point, we're just ready to kind of go home. But so I don't even really get to experience park hopping unless I'm with adults only. But that's also because we're not, trying to get into every line and see everything and all those things that take up so much of your day. And I just think that that is a huge opportunity to, again, splurge on that park hopper ticket, where that's not that big of a splurge in the grand scheme of things if
No,
it's
it's
not your
really
whole
not.
family.
Yeah, when it's just you, it's really not just you and your spouse or whomever.
I think also that a lot of times when you go with your family, like, you are trying to get the value of your money, like, out of your day. So you think, like, I'm not going to get my value out unless I'm there rope drop to, fireworks at night. And I think the value that you're getting as an adult is so much more than the monetary value. It's that appreciation for, like, yourself and the time. And again, like, just taking that break as a mom and giving yourself that opportunity to have time by yourself or with adults or with girlfriends or with your spouse. I think that that is so important.
When I'm with adult friends or my wife, I'm never having that like in the moment FOMO. What I'm here, so what am I missing out on there? I just am in the, I can do this now, we can do this later. It's a great point. Let's talk about Sleepy. Where are you staying as an adult?
Oh man, I would tell you to stay at one of the Epcot resorts, because obviously we love Epcot as an adults only situation. I love all of the Epcot resorts anyway, but to be able to walk over to Epcot, being able to walk to Hollywood Studios, that's a huge perk. And then also I would probably lean towards like Beach and Yacht Club, because pool time, hello.
Best pool ever. My ultimate Disney adult resort, there are ways that a lot of the different resorts can maybe say, oh, well, this is better here, this is better there. But the ultimate adult resort to me, Karla, do you know what mine is?
I'm going to say it's either the Polynesian or it's Riviera.
It's the Riviera to me. That's like the ultimate adult Disney resort. Not that it's not good for kids. It's so much fun. But when you're there with adults, it feels so luxe. It has amazing food. The quick service there is like maybe the best on
My
property.
favorite. It is. It is the best. Let's just say it.
Yeah. Topolino's so good. For dinner, you want to have a fancy dinner with adult friends, go up on the roof and enjoy a drink up there. So awesome. The pool, while we're talking about pool time, the chairs, can we talk about those blue cushioned, like cabana with a roof over your head type chairs that you're sitting in? They're shaded and comfortable. They're more comfortable than any other. They also have an adult only pool. Did you all know this? There's like another pool directly across that little courtyard that's adult only. It's quiet and serene.
I did not know that.
Yes. I stayed there as with adults, and we went over there. It has this really cool sort of slanted entrance on the side, and it's really just, you can sit in it and it's all just other adults having adult conversation, but you can go over to that comfortable fun pool on the Skyliner, obviously. So you're going to be able to get to Epcot quickly, which is super important to me, as well as Hollywood Studios, which is my other favorite park. Those are my two favorites. So I just think Riviera is the ultimate.
I feel like the Riviera is like the least kiddie. Like when you go to the Riviera, I don't feel like you're really seeing, and maybe it's like a more refined child that goes to Riviera. I don't know. But like, you don't see the breakdowns. You don't see, little Johnny yelling about his ice cream in the corner or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's definitely a swanky vibe over there. I love it. Smells am going so good. I'm not going to be specific. I'm just going to say, like, to me, it's always like monorail versus boardwalk. And I don't think we give enough love. And maybe this is like an adults only trip type thing. And why I love it so much is, if you're going with your family, you're going to stay at a monorail resort if you have the money to do so. If you're going with adults only, you're going to stay at a boardwalk resort. Like LJ said, the access to the two parks, access to the Skyliner, being able to take the Skyliner over to the Riviera for dinner. Just that access, not only that, but like Abracadabra, the dance hall, the piano bar, jelly rolls, the trattoria restaurant, soon to be the cake shop. Like, there is just so much to offer there for adults and for relaxation. And not only that, but like the scenery is like to die for.
I'm 100% with you. Obviously, you and I have talked and bonded at length over how passionate we are about the boardwalk area. And the reason I still lean into Riviera is because it's just a very short Skyliner drop away in minutes, from
Especially if you
Riviera.
don't have your kids with you and you can just
Exactly.
travel with ease.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I lean into Riviera on an adult trip. Not that I don't stay there with my kids or wouldn't. I just, because I think I've even said on this show before that in some cases, Riviera can be my sneezy because it's like, well, Riviera is great, but when I could stay at the beach club and be actually closer to those two parks, then I'm going to do that. So I'm going to avoid Riviera in a lot of cases, which I have talked about. But for adults and for the reasons I've said, I just think it's perfect. It's wonderful. And I also want to give an honorable mention if the resorts that we've discussed here in this little segment are more than you're wanting to spend. Maybe you're just trying to get a quick getaway. You're not trying to break bank. Totally fine. Obviously, like stay wherever. But one that should not be overlooked for an adult trip, Coronado Springs.
Totally agree. And the tower.
In the tower, you're not going to break bank to stay there. You even could honestly stay standard if you were really trying to cut back expenses because the walk isn't going to kill you as adults. But the food, the nightlife, the bars, the views, the pool, the big hot tub, which we talked about on this show, it's all wonderful. And it is bus only, which isn't necessarily going to bother you as adults. So that would be my honorable mention, would be Coronado Springs.
Can we go through and say our favorite for adults only for each category? I think that would be helpful. Getting to Disney is expensive in some cases, and sometimes it's just like I couldn't afford a whole extra trip to Disney, but I could afford a fourth of one. So let me get 3 girlfriends together and let's just go stay value.
I agree. If I was going to stay value with my girlfriends, I think I would do Pop Century. And that's just for, again, it's access to the Skyliner. I prefer the rooms better at Pop Century. I like the kind of like contemporary Mickey rooms compared to like the themed Little Mermaid rooms. I am not a fan. And yeah, it's obviously I'm a 80s, or it's not obvious, but I am an 80s baby. So like seeing the mood rings on the side of the buildings, my kids don't know what a mood ring is, but I know what that is. So, and then seeing like the 3-wheeler and the, just those things that kind of hit more on adults. I think that's where I would stay.
I'm with you there for the same exact reasons. Pop Century would be my pick if I was going value for all the reasons you just said. And it just connecting to the nostalgia would be just way fun with a group of people that lived that nostalgia with you. I'm also an 80s baby, late 80s baby. And it's fun to connect about those things with people that lived them too.
I'm going to make it unanimous because it's a no-brainer to me. Like you'd want to be on the Skyliner if you could. So then it really brings it to Art of Animation or to Pop Century. And I feel like Pop Century is for adults. Like I mean, even though it's my son's absolute favorite resort, I honestly feel like I want to take my dad there and just go through the different decades and show him and talk to him about, does he remember this stuff? I genuinely feel like Pop Century is like an adult place because the kids do not, like you said, they do not know why the 50s is like jazz themed and why, they don't get it. All they see is like this big, larger than life stuff. And then also, like you said, the Little Mermaid rooms for Art of Animation, which would be the only thing really comparable, are such a far walk that I'm like, of course I'm going to stay Pop Century or go ahead and get a suite animation. It is going to be much more expensive, but if you're coming with friends, it sleeps 6, so now you're splitting it 6 ways and you get 2 bathrooms, so hey, can't lose, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then I think the only answer for moderate, my opinion, would be Coronado. And for deluxe, it's Riviera. And I'm going to give a quick honorable mention to Saratoga Springs because walking to Disney Springs with adults for the nightlife and the food, super fun. And Saratoga Springs, maybe not the number one place you want to stay with your kids because of the extensive bus system, but really a fun place and not a super expensive place if you want to do deluxe for less with a group of adults.
It's been renovated over there. It's lovely. So that's great. I do not agree with you on Coronado Springs. It's never been one of my favorites. I'd probably say it's like actually one of my least favorite resorts. But if I was going to stay moderate, I would probably go with French Quarter. I love the atmosphere over there. It's like super small and quiet. You can walk to you can walk to the other Port Orleans resort, which is Riverside. You can also take the boat to Disney Springs. So like you have like easy access. And I just really love like the decor and like the setting that goes along with French Quarter.
You want to look at that big old splash pad and dragon slide on your adult trip?
Hey, as long as it's not our kids in there, we're good.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother me. I'll tell you what.
Come on, that beach and that water over at Coronado, it's so gorgeous.
It is pretty. The reason I don't love Coronado is I feel like the transportation is like tough for me. And the bigger than that for me, is the convention center. If there are people using the convention center and like clogging up the entire food court, and they're in their business casual clothes and it's like sending me back to like corporate America flashbacks, I don't like it.
You are so right, LJ. I mean, it kind of takes like the magic of Disney away when you see like, because I've been there for a conference trip. It was kind of terrible. Like, it did not feel Disney at all because everybody was like stuffed up in their ties and it's like 97 degrees outside. Like, it was just kind of silly. And we're all waiting for golf carts to pick us up and they never came. And it was like, it's kind of a zoo if you're not staying in the tower.
Okay, time out. I went on a conference trip actually for Smart Moms at Coronado, and I had a lovely time. And my business casual was a touch of Disney, and it was so cute. And we had a really great experience all over the resort.
It's okay. We don't have to agree, Allie. You can love it. And we don't have to love it.
Yeah. Well, you guys can stay at Pop. It's fine. I'm going to go over to Coronado.
Coronado is like actually like so far down on the list. I'm like French Quarter, then give me Riverside, then like
it's your last
Caribbean Beach. Like, I am definitely like Coronado is like not on my list.
Oh, what about a cabin though? Cabin would be fun.
A cabin with your girlfriends. I know that Team Fantasyland did that and they loved it. And it looked super fun. And I think it would be really fun. But the only problem is there is only one bathroom with 6 women.
Listen, until they do something about the core in those cabins, I'm not going.
The treehouse, though, if you're going to treehouse is better. Do the treehouse. Let's move into sneezy then. Because honestly, my sneezy on an adult trip, just to piggyback off what we were just saying. I mean, I understand circumstances sometimes make it where it has to be. But if at all possible on an adult trip, I do avoid staying value. Just because there's a lot of kids there. It's really bright and it's not really capturing what I want out of my trip and some of the things I'm seeking in that relaxation. So I prefer not stay value when I'm there with adult friends.
As if you're staying value with your family.
I would though. And I would have a great time doing it.
I think for me, like if I am taking an adult's trip, I am going with the intention that I'm not taking my kids. So when I'm there, I am not going to be sad that my kids are not with me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because the other thing I avoid, my other sneezy, and this is a really big one, because I do miss my kids when I'm at Disney without them. So the biggest thing, my biggest sneezy avoidance is doing things that my kids love or that will make me think of my kids. It's no secret, I'm obsessed with Happily Ever After, the fireworks show. I don't think I ever watch it when my kids aren't with me. It just makes me too sad. I don't like hearing it, seeing it. It really makes me really, really, really sad.
I definitely cry at Happily Ever After. On the regular, I cry at it. It just is so good. But it definitely feels a little bit more like sad tears when my kids aren't with me. Like,
exactly.
I get what you're saying. And I think that speaks to what you had just said about like you're staring at the pool at French Quarter that is clearly so designed for kids. Yeah. That could be why you're like, I want to avoid French Quarter because my kids have had so much fun there and everything.
Exactly. My kids in my mind have marked all over Disney property. You know, I have, that was the corner we ate that Mickey sink. And, I remember when my youngest daughter was wearing this while we rode this for the first time. And I'm just that sentimental that sometimes, actually not sometimes, all the time when I'm there with adults, I just do things that don't remind me of them, you know, and I do things I wouldn't do without or with them there.
Speaking of like marking all over Disney, our first time that we went as a family and actually got to ride Smuggler's Run, the line was forever. And my kids made it through, but we're waiting for the door to open. My son had to go to the bathroom so bad. and he did not mention it till right at this moment. And it was past the point of no return. And he marked his spot by peeing down his leg, like
No.
a foot away from the cast member. And it was like, well, like, I don't know what to
I don't know
do.
what to do now.
This is why you leave your kids at home sometimes.
Aw.
Oh my God, that's a perfect story. My son, when he was only 2 years old, or maybe he had just turned 3, we were up on the Skyliner and we got stuck and he had to go so badly. It was really sad. That was tough.
You know that there's now, I don't know if there was then, but you know that there's now an emergency potty in every Skyliner.
What?
Are you serious?
Yeah, look under the seat and you can, I mean, just look, you'll see. It's like, there's like a latch on it that like a kid couldn't undo. It's like one of those ones that you have to like pull, and then you pull it out and there's literally like a portable potty. I never pulled it out. I just saw it on, what had happened was the Skyliner got stuck for like a couple of hours and they were literally like sending up like, this was like way back when it was new. So they were sending up people with like a ladder truck and getting people down out of the Skyliners from like each one. And they were like, whoa, we should have potties in here because, so they did. There's portable potties in there if you need it.
That's unbelievable. That is
You
unbelievable.
heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
So my sneezy and I guess staying value is because of this. It's literally just avoiding the things that make me sad because I remember my kids. I'm doing the things I wouldn't do without them. Do you all have anything else?
I want to like unpack this with you. I don't think it should be like a negative thing that you like have to.
It's not negative.
I miss my kids too, but I'm not like not going to do things based on missing them. So I'm a little bit like, are you okay?
I know. Now I'm like
going to like watch the fireworks. Sure. Am I going to make sure that I'm standing in the perfect spot in front of the castle and waited there for 17 hours before to watch them? No, I'll do it from, the balcony at the villain's lair and watch them from there. I think there's
that is true. I have done that. Karla, we did that together.
Different way of doing it because you know what happens after the fireworks. It is like the craziest mad dash out of the park to the monorail or the ferry. Those lines are insane. So I'm going to be a smart adult and know that like I didn't have to be up at the front, and I'm going to kind of like already be knowing my next move, or already be like, I'll be on like the beach at the Poly watching them.
Yeah. And it's not all of it. It's just Happily Ever After. I mean, I would watch Fantasmic without them. Is that better?
I don't know. I lean into wondering like, is it really?
You're going to next time we're on a trip together, you're going to be like, it's time for Happily Ever After. Where's Allie? I'm going to make sure she goes.
I think it leans heavily into that mom guilt. And this kind of goes into grumpy, and like what kind of makes you angry is that like that is a legit feeling, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with mom guilt. It's totally natural. But like, not only that, Disney adults, I think you mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, like, ew, like, you go to Disney without your kids, like
people say that to me for sure.
Yeah, the negativity that you can get with that association, and you're like, what?
That would never bother me, just because
it doesn't bother me either.
You clearly don't know what you're missing, and if you did know, then you wouldn't be saying this. So I'm always just so sure that I'm right.
Yeah, I agree. That people say that, and I just let that roll. I'm like, oh, you just don't get it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's actually perfect for any smart moms, travel agents listening today. The hidden Mickey is guilt. So my wife and I seriously had like the best date day ever in our history. Like actually, we saw some friends. Karla, you were there in the morning. Our trips kind of overlapped. We weren't there together, but we were there at the same time. So we did a fun pool morning. And then my wife and I went to Epcot. We ate dinner at Space 220. We had delicious food. It was a prefix meal. Cocktails were great. Hung out there forever, rode Guardians twice in a row, and just went slowly and experienced. So my grumpy is like it's just people labeling Disney adult as something bad or trying to make me feel like doing these trips is not okay. It is so okay. It is so fun. And some of my best Disney memories are truly without my kid. I mean, I know we spent a lot of time talking about how many great ones I have and probably over dramatize that just a little bit, but like I also have some of my favorite memories there with just my wife or just my friends.
And I think that's good. I think it makes me grumpy as well. Like just as society is set up to make a mom feel bad when she goes for like a recharging. I'm like, I'm not okay with it. And I don't think they do that to men as much as they do with women. Like the pressure for us to just like 24/7 be moms. I just like had heard this discussion on Mother's Day versus Father's Day. Like Father's Day is like where the dad like goes golfing and has like a fun day by himself. Mother's Day is like where the mom takes care of the kids. I'm going to peace out and go have a little bit of alone time. So that makes me grumpy.
Give me the spa certificate to the Grand Floridian spa.
Yep. Heck yeah.
Because that's another thing. Like that's something that you're not. Let's close out the sevens with bashful, because the bashful here is so clearly, can I have fun at Disney without my kids? Obviously, for all the reasons we've laid out, the answer is yes. But the spa that we're starting to touch on, only a few resorts have them. Grand Floridian would be like the most iconic one. You're more than likely not visiting that on a trip with your kids. You might get a nanny service like Karla talked about. You might split off from your spouse, and on an adult trip, use that spa. Go do some of the services that you would never dream of doing on a family trip.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm excited. I'm going to the spa. So for this trip, it's like starting the day after my birthday. And I am like, when I heard about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so fun. Like going to get my toes done.
That is amazing.
Yes. And it's like, again, like I'm not going to drag my kids to the spa or have them like wait, it's just crazy. So you got to do it when you have an adults only.
Yeah, I agree. That's when you do that. The exception for Disney spas would be like a cruise, which we've talked about at length on the show. That's like a place where you can send your kids to the kids club and go do the spa on the ship. And I have done that, but I have not done a spa in Disney World on property. And now I'm thinking my next adult trip, which is coming up in a couple months, I'm gonna have to do that.
Have you ever been on a Disney cruise as an adults only?
Not yet.
Yeah, I like that answer. Not yet. I haven't yet.
I have one scheduled for November. I feel like it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, because I remember you said that one of the issues you had was your youngest, Ace, was kind of hard to navigate on the ship. Like she still really needed you a lot. Mm-hmm. And so whereas I didn't experience that personally, you're going to get to experience more of the version of the cruise I have done, even with my kids in tow.
That's a good way of looking at it. I think you're right.
Yeah, I'll be interested. I'll be excited. Maybe we'll record a bonus and we'll compare your two trips, your ones with your kids and your one without on the cruise. Mm-hmm. Well, adult Disney World is so much fun. I think we've talked about so many of the things you can do, the nightlife, the bars, the different things you can see and experience in the park, the ways you can go slowly. You can skip Magic Kingdom. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't want to, but like things like that, thinking like that, how am I going to spend my time? And it's going to be so different. That it's so much fun to think about. Don't let mom guilt that we've talked so much about seep into any of that line of thinking. Allow yourselves the break and experience a relaxing side of Disney. We are going to take one more break. When we come back, we will wrap it up.
Hey, hold up. Looking for the ultimate Disney and Universal experience? What about vacations on both the West and East Coasts? Look no further, it's Kristiny, one of your podcast co-hosts that'll take you along on my coast-to-coast adventures like never before. Come follow along on Instagram at the Polyjuice Princess, your go-to source for all things Disney and Universal. From the iconic castle at Disney to the thrilling rides at Universal Studios, I've got you covered. Shoot me a DM with the word podcast to receive exclusive content for my followers. See you real soon.
Hey, it's Becky from Smart Moms Podcast. So you keep hearing this word, Disney bounding, but maybe you don't know quite what it means. Or maybe you're already a Disney bounder and love showcasing your Disney fandom in the parks. Either way, come join us on Facebook at the Disney Bounding Community by Smart Moms Travel. We play games, plan outfits, do giveaways and challenges, and support each other in adding just a little bit of pixie dust to both your Disney vacations as well as your day-to-day. Find the link in the show notes, and I hope to see you soon in the Disney Bounding Community Facebook group.
All right, welcome back. We are going to close things out, hit the lightning lane, fast answers, LJ and Karla. These are going to be tough. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, LJ, Pop Century or French Quarter on an adult trip?
Oh my gosh. This might be surprising, but I'm going to say Pop Century. Like the Skyliner.
I was going to say the same thing, even though you didn't ask me.
You were going to say the same thing? I was actually going to throw it your way.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I actually think I would too. I think we all just unanimously picked Pop Century. Okay, what about Riviera or Beach Club? Karla.
Riviera.
LJ, same question.
I feel like you sold me. I'm going to say Riviera. I would have said Beach Club at the beginning of this trip, but I honestly feel like you sold me.
I know. I see that. I'm so good at my job. I know what I know what I'm talking about here. Okay, what's the better adult park? Karla, Hollywood Studios or Epcot?
That's a hard one. I am
know.
going to say Epcot. Epcot.
Okay, LJ, what's the better adult park, Epcot or Animal Kingdom?
I don't think you can go wrong, but I'll vote Animal Kingdom.
Better adult park than Epcot?
I just like for me, not
That's
like
cute.
not for them, not for them, but for us. Like I want to go there with Mike, not
That's
for the
a hard
general
one.
world.
That's true. You're thinking about with your significant other, so that's fair. All right, what is, LJ, the best restaurant on property without kids?
Oh, without kids, I feel like I kind of want to say Topolino's because I feel like the food's so good, the atmosphere's so good. Like kids just want to go and they just don't appreciate anything else.
That's a good one. Karla?
Oh, I'm just going to say very generically any of them. Any of them. But, brunch at Steakhouse 71 always has my heart because the bottomless mimosas. How many bottomless mimosas are you drinking with your children?
Yeah, one and we're done. Such a waste. It's actually like the Smart Mom staple. We hit that almost every trip I've ever been on with the team, Karla, you guys, or even just an agency trip. We always have brunch at Steakhouse 71. Okay, adult only. Would you rather with your girlfriend or with your spouse, LJ?
Oh my gosh, it's really hard. I think I would rather with my spouse, but I feel like it's because I don't get to as much. I have so much fun with my girlfriends, but I get to do that at least every month. So I'm like, I'd probably rather do it with Mike.
What about you, Karla?
I agree. And that's probably why I always take my birthday trip with just my husband, is just because I know he enjoys it. And it just allows him when we don't have our children to, and he doesn't have a pass anymore, so he doesn't get to go very frequently. So I really relish that time with him.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same. Zan and I have so much fun when we go there together. It's
well,
such
I think
good
you
time.
You get the lucky end here because your spouse is your girlfriend. That's like your best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true. I agree, but it is still such a good time to reconnect. We have so much fun. It's great. Okay, I already know your answers to this. I could just answer for you. Would you rather drink around the world or eat around the world? Karla, drink. Eat. LJ, eat. Yeah. What's your favorite adult splurge? And that can mean a lot of different things.
This is hard to answer quickly. I feel like I need to think about this.
Don't break it down. Resist your urge to analyze.
I'm splurging on my resort. I want to enjoy the pool and the restaurants. And
that is exactly what I was quickly getting to. I was thinking VIP tour, no spa, no. I would rather the resort be absolutely.
That's the answer. Splurge on your resort because you're gonna get so many different experiences. That's the answer. What do you think? Boardwalk or monorail as adults?
Boardwalk.
Same.
Yeah, for sure. Would you rather have a spa day or a pool day?
For me, I think pool. I love a spa, but I really relish my time with a drink in my hand at the pool.
Me too.
I think when you take cost into consideration, if someone was giving me a spa day, I would definitely go with a spa day because how many times do you get to do that? But by the time you're let me pay the extra for all the spa things, I think honestly just relaxing by the pool has it beat.
I agree because you're going to save money. That's a good point. But there's nothing I love more in life than a good 90-minute massage. I've never done one at Disney World, so I feel like I still want to try that, but I still think a pool day's better.
I honestly, Mike and I, this is something it's budgeted in. We are about massages, okay? And we do not think the ones at Disney are anything to write home about. So I would say don't waste your Disney time getting a massage.
That's fair. Maybe I won't.
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Would you rather splurge with adults on a brunch or a dinner?
I think I'm going to do dinner.
I love brunch. I just love the whole idea of brunch. I'm we literally just were you know what? There should be more meals in the day on weekends. Let's make another one and call it brunch. I'm doing it. So I do love
a good brunch.
I do too.
Remember when California Grill had their brunch? Have they brought that back yet?
I don't think they have. Because now they have Steakhouse 71 downstairs. I don't know.
True.
You know what, though? We didn't talk about on this episode. I want to give a quick shout out to some of the extras that you can do would be more fun as an adult. Some of the wilderness trek things at Animal Kingdom. Although if you have older kids, that'd be fun. But then what about Victoria and Albert's? The really, really, really fancy fine dining at Grand Floridian. That I don't even think I would 90% of the food that they give me, but I definitely want to try it someday. And that's just something you flat out can't do with your kids.
Mike and I did for our 15th anniversary. So this was over 5 years ago. We went and had the whole weekend My mom watched the kids for us. And we did, I think, 3 or 4 of those like backstage things. And we specifically looked for the things that we couldn't take our kids on. Like we did the snorkeling in Epcot. We did like the thing where you go under the tunnel in Magic Kingdom. Like we did all the things that you cannot do. We loved it, and it was fabulous. I can't believe we didn't talk about that more.
Well, that's just it. There's so much you can see and do and experience as an adult at Disney World that you can't cover it all right here in this conversation. But here's the start of the conversation. Do it.
Yeah, I was going to say
Take
that,
the trip.
and we can have another episode about all the extras.
Yeah, because, diving at Epcot, most people don't know that's a thing. And it is a thing, but you have to be older to do it. And it's a perfect thing to do with your best friend or your spouse. Take the time to open your mind, think outside the box, plan that trip with your Smart Moms travel agent. And then really, really, really don't just say, well, we're going to stay at Pop and go to 2 parks. No, take the time to think about the things you're going to do differently and experience differently and discover something new about Disney World, because that's what an adult trip truly can be.
Dang, and I just thought about the firework cruise. Like, would you cry on that, Allie?
No, I think I'd probably do that. See, these are the things that you're unlocking in me. I just don't want to stand on Main Street.
Can we start over?
Re-record.
I think it's a perfect conversation starter. Plan that trip, open your mind, discover the things. You're going to have a great time. Can't go wrong.
You deserve it.
You do deserve it. That is true. And that's going to do it for us on the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. As always, if you are looking at planning, or ready to start planning your adult trip, and you don't already have a Smart Moms travel agent, be sure to check out the link in our bio and our show notes to get connected with a free Smart Moms travel agent from this show to get started. Make sure you are following along in our Facebook community at Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast, where every Wednesday, following the drop of an episode, we are having the Happily Ever After Show. We are continuing the conversation from each week's episode with you along this time. Bring your questions, bring your comments, be there with us, and let's break this down even more. Maybe you've experienced something on an adult trip that we don't even know about yet. Make sure you are following us on Instagram at Smart Moms Plan Disney Podcast, and sprinkle a little pixie dust over all the subscribe buttons, YouTube, wherever you're listening, so that you're never missing an alert every time an episode drops. As always, until next time, we'll see you real soon.